Hey guys, it's Derek. I'm doing Read Naturally for my demonstration. I'm going to be using my son Isaiah. He's in 5th grade. And I'm going to talk about Read Naturally right now on my computer on a PDF file. So this is the teacher's manual for Read Naturally. It's the Master's Edition. So the reason we use Read Naturally is because we're having struggling readers, especially with our special ed population. Reading is one of the biggest difficulties they have, especially fluency and then comprehension that follows. So the Read Naturally strategy is an effective tool for improving reading fluency and developing and struggling readers. Read Naturally combines 3 powerful strategies to improve fluency: teacher modeling, repeated reading, and progress monitoring. Struggling readers often have fluency problems. So it says right here, picture one of your struggling readers, turn on the audio portion of your brain and listen to that student read. You would probably describe that student's reading as word by word, halting, which is pausing, slow, and laborious. Students with these characteristics associated with their reading have a fluency problem. Educators often describe reading problems in terms of fluency, indicating that teachers know fluency is an important component of good reading. Research demonstrates a strong correlation between fluency and reading comprehension. Consequently, teachers need to develop the fluency of their students. So right here, struggling readers do not read enough. Students become fluent by practicing reading. Allington. Some students can learn to read fluency without explicit instruction. For others, however, that's our population, fluency doesn't develop in the course of normal classroom instruction. Research analyzed by the National Reading Panel suggests that just encouraging students to read independently isn't the most effective way to improve reading achievement. So right here it talks about during Drop Everything and Read. This was a practice they used. But what ended up happening was the students were acting like they were reading, but they weren't, and they were just looking at the pictures, and they didn't have any comprehension because they weren't really understanding the words. There was no fluency and there was no comprehension. So struggling readers need to become fluent? They need a safe, structured, highly motivating opportunity to engage reading on a daily basis. Research supports, this is the key right here, teacher modeling, repeated reading, and progress monitoring as ways to involve struggling readers in the act of reading to improve their fluency and to accelerate their reading achievement. Teacher modeling improves the reading fluency of students by correcting pronunciation, the rate, and expression while reading with a less able reader. Repeated reading improves the fluency by having the student read a short story or passage many times until they're able to read it fluently. And finally, daily monitoring. The daily monitoring is the big part. We do this every day, Monday through Friday. We do a Read Naturally so that we can monitor their progress on the story to see if they're getting, if they stayed the same, if they're getting worse, or if they're getting better on their words, correct words per minute. So this will show the achievement if it increases the student involvement in the learning process, and it promotes teacher awareness of each student's progress. That's the big thing, is we want to see if they're progressing. So on page 7 here, and if you go on the this website here, readnaturally.com, I'll put that in the link. That's the PDF that anyone can get right off the website. So here's the benefits of Read Naturally. The Read Naturally strategy results in significant improvement in the reading fluency of students. In addition, teachers have noted several other benefits of the strategy, including the following. So here's the benefits. Students often experience an increase in their confidence and self-esteem. A lot of the times our population doesn't want to read because they know they struggle with it, and sometimes their self-esteem is very low because other people look at them because they can't read fluently. So what this does is it targets their self-esteem and their confidence levels by having them read independently with you, just the teacher, so that their confidence level goes up. Second is students express confidence in their academic abilities and hope for their academic future. So as they see their progress improving when they're reading, their confidence levels go up, and so they're able to, they're wanting to read and to keep reading. And students often tell teachers that the immediate and frequent feedback makes them want to keep reading. That's the biggest one that I see, is that when I show them the words and what the meanings are, that the next time they read it, it makes a lot more sense to them. So Read Naturally is supposed to be an independent thing with the student doing it, but at the school, we engage the student and do it instead of them by themselves, so that we can monitor them and keep track of what's going on with their fluency and their comprehension. So this is the big thing with Read Naturally, is this WCPM. This is words correct per minute, the average. So what you want to see is on this Hasbrook-Tyndall oral reading fluency norms, this table below, that the student can place in there in the 50 percentile. We want them to actually do better than the 50 percentile. So for Isaiah, he's in 5th grade. So when we give this assessment, you can see that in the fall, we would start off and we would want him in the 50 percentile 110 words per minute, and then it would go up to 127 in the winter and 139. So anything above these numbers, and we'll shoot for spring because we're in spring, so we'll go for 139. Anything above that is a plus. If he's right here, that means he's got to work, and if he's below 139, then we know we've got to do a lot more work with him. On page 25, we have the reading rate goal. So in addition to selecting a level and curriculum, the teacher must set an individualized, developmentally appropriate goal rate for each student. This goal is the number of words a student must read correctly in 1 minute to pass a story. The goal needs to be sufficiently high to require the student to practice reading the story many times before achieving the goal rate, but not so high that the student becomes frustrated. This is one of the big things too here. We don't want to get our students frustrated, so you've got to really, really take into consideration what you want to set this reading rate goal at on the words per minute. Be careful with that, because you can really, really frustrate students on that one. In Read Naturally, they want you to read all 24 stories and have 80% correct on the quizzes. And once they do that, Read Naturally says go up half a grade. Don't go up a full grade, because that is going to be too big of a jump for them. You want them to go half a grade. So, and this is how we keep track of it on the fluency and comprehension. We have them graph the words they get correct, and we also have another log that I'll show you after I'm done assessing Isaiah. So here's the key. You can also do it with English language learners, which is great because they have the stories in Spanish. You can get it on audio or CD. So what Read Naturally says is to let them listen to it, to let them pick the story, let them read along to learn the key words with the story, and then they write a prediction, and then they time themselves. Well, this is where we come in. We don't let them time themselves. We do it. And then we graph it. They read along to learn the story again. So this is the repeated reading. They practice on their own, and then they answer these comprehension questions on the back. And then if they pass, we're going to give them the hot score, and they graph it in red, and we're going to give them a Super Reader Award. And a lot of the students love these because they can take them home and show their parents, and it says their name here has completed usually 24 stories of Read Naturally at their level, and then the Super Reader at the goal rate of, and we go back to our words per minute table that tells us where they should be at. So right now I'm going to assess Isaiah on the Read Naturally. Can you say hi, Isaiah?
Hello.
Say hello, ESPE 643.
Hello, ESPE 643.
Yep. All right, are you ready? What story did you pick out?
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford? Okay. So here's Henry Ford. All right. And the first thing we're going to do is go over some key words. All right. So these keywords are what?
Mass produced.
Okay, speak a little bit louder.
Assembly.
Hold on, technical difficulties. Okay, so mass produced. What does that mean?
A good made in large numbers, often with the help of machines.
Okay. And what's this one?
Assembly line. Method of making goods in which each worker does one task as the item moves from one worker to the next.
Okay, and what's this one?
Automated. Task done with the help of machines.
Okay. So the story's about who?
Henry Ford.
Okay, and what are our keywords?
Mass produced, assembly line, and automated.
Okay, so in Read Naturally, you'll see that these words in bold, these are the words that are in the glossary in the back, so the students can look up the words in bold in the back in the glossary with the master edition, so that they can see what each of these words mean. So up here we have Story 2, Track 5-8, and that came out of Sequence 5.6, Read Naturally, Master's Edition. Okay? And what we're going to do, if you see down here, here's the words read. So words read correlate with these numbers in each line. So if he started here, he'd be at word 301. So once we go through it, it gives you extra times to read it, and you can count the scores over and over. And this is good too, because with our scores, we want to give them multiple chances to read this during the week and do better and better. All right. So what I've found with the students is that putting up a little wall between us is good, because you don't want to let the student be seen you mark his words that are incorrect. So the best thing to do is to separate yourselves from that. And as you can see, I'll have my timer set for, I do 1 minute 1 second, because it actually takes me a little bit to actually press it to give them that 1 second. And I don't start it till they actually start reading. Okay? I use a highlighter to mark what words they got wrong, and then I use a pen to mark where they stopped. Okay, so tell me when you're ready, Azu.
Okay. In the early 1900s, only very rich people could afford to have a car. Cars cost a lot of money to make. Each car was built one at a time until it was finished. Henry Ford wanted to make a car more people could afford. He completely changed the way people manufactured cars. Ford mass-produced cars using assembly line. Henry Ford founded the Ford Motor Company. The Model T was the first car that was mass-produced. The workers assembled or put together the cars on the assembly line. The assembly line was automated. Conveyor belt brought parts to working. For example, on the assembly line, one person would put a wheel on the car, the next person would tighten the bolts on that wheel. The car would continue down the assembly line until it was finished. Many cars were on the assembly line at one time. They were all at different stages of completion. Making cars on the assembly line had many benefits because it took less time to build a car. Employers could make more cars in the same amount of time because it cost less to make a car.
Okay, so stop. And we're going to put you right there. As you can see, I marked right there. That's how I marked the stop. And we can see at 191, so he got 191, 192, 93. So what I'll do for this first time on this cold score is I'll do 193 minus, he missed conveyor, so that tells me he was at 192. Okay? So then I'll take this down, and we'll go over with Isaiah right now. So this is the word you missed, conveyor. Can you say that for me?
Conveyor.
Conveyor belts. What do you think conveyor means? Because usually when a student misses a word, it's because they don't comprehend it. A lot of it has to do with fluency, but a lot of it has to do that they don't know what the word means. So do you know what conveyor means? No? So conveyor belts are, have you ever seen at Amazon or in any videos where they have these big, long pieces of rubber and they have boxes on them and they just move down the line and workers are on each side of it and it just keeps moving and moving? Have you ever seen that? So I have the benefit here of the internet, but sometimes I'll just push this up on my phone when students don't understand a word. I'll just look it up on my phone and give them an image, and then that way they can understand. So these are conveyor belts, Isaiah. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
So a big benefit with the web, of course, is now we can just search up words on the phone, and I've found that that's really helpful with my student population is between 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th right now. And when I can show them a picture of what the word that they missed, that really helps them understand. So here we have, read naturally, on these higher levels, you can actually do comprehension questions. I'll just do a couple because this video is running long. So Isaiah, read the first question.
Identifying the main idea. What is the main idea of the story?
A, Ford started the Ford Motor Company. Ford made cars people could afford, or Ford changed manufacturing.
A, Ford started the Ford Motor Company.
Is that what you think the main idea is? Okay. So what's the very first sentence here? Very rich people could afford to have a car, right? Cars cost a lot of money to make, right? So what's our stuff in bold? Manufactured, mass-produced, right? So do you think he started the, is that the main idea of it, or is that he changed manufacturing? See, and this is one of the issues with Read Naturally is you want to make sure that you don't give these comprehension questions until they've mastered the whole story and they can actually read through the whole thing, even if the 1 minute is over. At some point after the 3rd or 4th time trial, let them just read through the whole story so they'll understand what these comprehension questions are. Because this one is what? The assembly line, automation, remember the conveyor belts? So it's he changed manufacturing, okay? So we'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one because this was the first time you've read this story, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to graph. And this is the main part of the progress monitoring with Read Naturally. So what I have here are the two things that we use to keep track of the, these are our data collection units. And what we have here is his first read on 5/22/17. And how many words did you get right, Isaiah? 192? So we're going to come up to here, and we're going to go up to 192, and then I want you to fill in that bar. I want you to fill in that bar all the way down. So this engages the student that when they can do that, they can self-progress monitor, and it really helps them when they fill it in because they can see if they're getting better or worse, and they know they've got to improve. On my side of it right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 192. And then as he keeps reading, as the dates go on, so 5/23/17, 5/24/17, as I give this may go up a little. Say he reads the story again and he goes to 199, and then he goes to 205. That's how we'll see the progress. And then he might have a bad day because of whatever reasons, and he shoots down and he gets below his baseline here and he's only at 180. So right here we have to see if he keeps going down or if he stays the same or if he gets better. One day out of these is not bad, but if you keep seeing him go down and down, we have to reevaluate and see if the story is boring, if he wants a different story, and he's not interested in that story anymore. So you have to be careful with making them read the same story too many times in a row. They'll get bored. So that's Read Naturally. I use this a lot every day with my students, and I like it because there's many stories. They range, and the beauty is they get to pick the story to start off on. So here's like Star Spangled Banner, Apollo 13, Berlin Wall, Rolls Royce. There's all these different stories, the Northern Lights. So it's a really good evidence-based strategy to use in the classroom. It does have some weaknesses, but I think the strengths overrule the weaknesses. And with the reading comprehension, one last thing is you can You can check for a main idea, a literal interpretation. You can use vocabulary. So there's many things that Read Naturally does beyond fluency. It does comprehension also. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. I hope it maybe invites some of you who haven't tried it to try it and use it. And hope you liked it. Isaiah, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Put your hair